Two men, twin sons from different mothers, with a passion for voiceover recording technology and the desire to make recording easy for voice actors everywhere. Together, in one place, George Whittam, the home studio engineer to the stars, a Virginia Tech grad with an unmatched knowledge of all the latest gear and technology in voiceover today. Dan Leonard, the home studio master, a voice actor with over 30 years experience in broadcasting and recording, and a no-holds-barred, myth-busting attitude for teaching you how easy it is. Together, finally, to bring you all the latest technology, the superstars of voiceover today, and leading the discussion on how to make the most of your voiceover business. This is VoiceOver Body Shop. And now, live from their super secret multimedia studio in Sherman Oaks, California, here are George Whittam and Dan Leonard.
Good evening, I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver Body Shop, or VOBS. For sure. Well, it's another week has gone by.
Yeah.
And we have to put on a show tonight for some reason.
We do it.
They show up every week.
They show up and we do it.
Why, we're not sure, but they're there. But,
which came first, the chicken or the egg?
The chicken had to have come first. I have actually looked at this question. The chicken, it's an evolutionary thing. We'll talk about it later. Right. Anyway, we've got a great show tonight. Great guest, the queen of voiceover, a lady who has written a couple of fascinating books. One of them called Voiceovers, everything you need to know about how to make money with your voice, and another one, Making Money with Voiceovers.
And I'll be reading this book tonight, which is called I'm 35, My Eggs Are Rotting, How's Your Sperm? Very good, thank you very much.
We'll have to talk about that one just a little bit. Anyway, Terri will be with us in just a little while, so stay for that. But of course, we're here to talk about home voiceover studios and the voiceover business and all that fun stuff. But first, we must start off with the news.
And now, the VoiceOver Extra VOBS News, the latest and most comprehensive voiceover industry news. Brought to you live.
All righty, here is the VoiceOver Extra VOBS News for tonight, November 23rd, 2015. And tonight's topic relates to both your health and your voiceover performance, specifically your breath support. And here's why that's so important. First of all, it's well known that many fans of VOBS begin their Mondays with a breathless wait for the evening showtime. Side effects may include anxiety and turning blue. I've seen that happen, by the way. See your doctor if you experience these symptoms. Or, well, never mind. Let's move on to what's really happening. As speech expert Dr. Ann Utterbeck explains in a recent VoiceOver Extra article, breathing is the energy for speech. And not having good breath support is like driving a car with watered-down gasoline. It won't get you very far. You ever drive a car with watered-down gasoline?
Not that I'm aware of.
It's lots of fun in the winter. You're driving and it just comes to a halt, and you're like, why is it doing this in the middle of the throughway? Anyway, when you have good breath, support your breath control. When you have good breath support, you can control your acceleration. Mm-hmm. Not your exhilaration, your exhaleration. Acceleration.
Okay.
Which allows you to talk for a long time on one breath of air. And I tell people this all the time. Mm-hmm. You know, how do you take the breaths out of your audio? Don't breathe. Take one long breath at the beginning, and that's really the way to do it.
Right.
And to be able to use that air to indicate emotional changes and variations in your speech, rate, and volume.
Okay.
All right. So, what to do? Let's show you right here and right now, two simple exercises that will help you increase your breath support, your air time.
Oh, I like that.
Isn't that
clever?
Cute? Yes. All right, for exercise number one, can we have a volunteer from the studio audience? Oh, wait, Terri Apple's here. Let's throw her in there.
Yes.
We have two dogs right here.
Yeah, well,
they could do this.
They just bark.
All right.
Okay. All right. Take a deep abdominal breath into your diaphragm And now in one exhalation, could you out loud as high as you can count to 15?
I'm still holding it.
Okay. All right. Try it again.
From up or down?
Go backwards from 15.
15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, she's in good shape. That helps.
Indeed.
All right. Okay. Now for exercise number 2, George.
Okay.
You have your pulse on the personal audio of the stars.
Right.
Yet now let's check the pulse of your breath,
Okay.
so to speak.
Okay,
All
what
right?
do I do?
All right. Here's what you need to do. Okay? Put your index and middle fingers over the pulse on your wrist.
Okay.
Take a deep abdominal breath into your diaphragm. Now in one exhalation, do as I say.
Okay.
Count 5 pulse beats.
I'm trying to feel my pulse.
Yeah,
I'm sure you
are
have
kind
one.
of cold. All right.
My chest is easier for some reason.
Okay.
Okay.
Count 10 pulse beats.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's pretty fast. Must
All
be
right.
nervous.
Now count 15.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay.
All right. These are exercises that you should try at home often for your health and for your voiceover performance. All
Can you
right.
explain to me that exercise's benefit? What I was just doing?
Well, you're learning how to keep a breath for a long time,
Was I supposed to do that in one breath? The counting?
I guess.
Did I miss that part?
Yes.
I wasn't paying attention.
That's why you're an engineering.
I'm a bad student. I'm a super bad student.
Yes.
You totally I was supposed to. I'm like, this is easy. I just count. This is stupid.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, this is how you improve your performance. Learn how to talk. See if you can do an entire paragraph without taking a breath. And it will certainly cut down on your editing time. All right. So look for this and hundreds of more articles at voiceoverextra.com, your daily resource for voiceover success.
Indeed, yes.
All right.
I always, when I played trumpet in grade school,
Yes.
I always prided myself. They would have these competitions where we could see who in the orchestra could hold a note the longest.
Yep.
And I prided myself of being able to hold the note the longest.
Yes.
Long after everybody else was, I was still going.
Or if anyone's ever heard someone blow a shofar, it's like,
Oh, yeah.
It'll go on.
I heard one at sunset yesterday. The water.
on sunset?
At sunset.
Oh, at
In the
sunset.
at the water.
Someone was blowing a shofar at sunset on the...
Oh, that's pretty bizarre.
It is kind of bizarre,
Well, it is
especially this
Hollywood.
time of year.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
all right. I actually had a fascinating week. I got the chance to do an on-camera audition this week.
Really?
I did. Yeah, they needed a voice actor
Okay.
who could also be, on camera, which is probably why I didn't get the gig. But I actually got to go down to the casting lounge down in the Fairfax district and stuff,
Yeah.
and did my thing. I hadn't done that in years, where I actually had to be there with the casting director and the camera and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was fun. That was great. Do it again. Look this way. Fine. Oh, that was fabulous. I really like the way you did that, which I'm sure they say to just about
You say that
everybody.
to all the boys.
Yeah. And and they said show up dressed worldly and sophisticated. So Marcy and I were watching all of the most interesting man in the world commercials
Yes.
all week, trying to decide. Well, he's just wearing a collared shirt and a sport coat.
Yes. It's just
Other
about the
guys were
boys.
showing up in tuxedos and stuff.
Oh, boy.
But it was a great experience. And then I walked outside.
Yeah.
I'm there on La Brea, and I look up and I see the Hollywood sun, and I'm like, yeah, I'm in California.
Yeah, I'm here.
I have made it to Hollywood. We'll see what happens after that. Anyway, Terri Apple is going to tell us a little bit more about Hollywood in a little while. And if you've got any tech questions or voiceover questions, throw them in the chat room. Somebody's supposed to be in there tonight.
I hope so.
Maybe Shelley's in there. I know Anthony's not there tonight because everybody in his family is sick.
Yes.
And probably snowed in since he's in Kalamazoo.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We don't get that here.
Right.
Anyway,
Oh, rubbish.
we'll be doing our chat room check in just a minute. So if you have your questions, throw them in there, and George and I will be happy to discuss them. I know we have a couple in there already.
Yes, we do.
So we'll be looking at those in just a minute. So Terri Apple will be coming up in just a bit. Stay tuned. We'll be right back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Don't go away.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
You're listening to VOBS.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop, or VOBS. I love it when you say that. Anyway, one of the things that's really important when you're, and you have a voiceover business is, which one?
Having the right tools for the job. And one of those tools
you moved it
is
up
provided by our friends at Source Elements.
They get first tonight?
Yes, they do.
You're on.
Sorry. This is why we brought Marcy in to produce, but then I still throw in curveballs because I'm that kind of guy. Anyway.
Read the spot.
Read the damn spot. Source Elements is one of our key sponsors on the show. They've been with us since pretty much the beginning of VOBS, and the reason is because they've got tools that are very, very valuable to a working voice actor. One who's been at this for a little while, and they need to start being able to connect to studios real time. I don't mean record and send files, but record in real time with a studio who's recording you on the far end. And that's what Source Elements product called Source Connect will allow you to do. They have various flavors. They have Source Connect Standard. They have Source Connect Pro, which are their flagship software. But they also have an entry-level and free option called Source Connect Now, which you can go ahead and sign up for immediately and begin using at now.source-elements.com, and you can start using that right away. These are like, if you want to use the comparison of Skype, but for professional users.
It ain't Skype.
Yeah, it is imagine Skype in concept, but with really high quality audio. And that's what we're talking about. If you're using ISDN right now and you don't have Source Connect, you're basically walking a tightrope without a net, because ISDN is getting less and less reliable all the time. And that is not a joke. It is absolutely true coming from somebody who supports this stuff. It really is true. So having Source Connect as your backup is a really, really excellent plan. Plus, you can go out in the field using Source Connect, and through one of the bridging partners, you can then connect to ISDN with those clients who refuse to go to the internet yet. So that's what Source Connect can do. And if you want to get connected with them, go to sourceelements.com. And you can sign up for a 15-day trial of Source Connect, or just get the Now version, which is totally free. All you need is a computer with Chrome browser running on it, and you can use it right away. So anyway, Source Elements, thanks again for your sponsorship.
Works great, by the way.
It does. This is the real deal. They've been developing it for 10 years now.
Right.
10 years.
And they think they've got it right by now.
Yeah.
They do.
They're really sharp.
They are.
Yeah.
They're smart people over there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so what's going on in the chat room tonight so far?
Let's take a look.
Let's
take a look at the chat room.
Okay.
Chat room check-in.
Chat room check-in. All right.
Roll
Somebody want to do
call.
one for that? All right.
Yeah, we need one for sure.
All right. Well, Jack DeGolia,
yeah,
who continues to sit out there in the desert of Nevada, writing down every word of the show, asks, I hear Studio One, which has a free version that includes punch and roll, can be a good fit with Twisted Wave.
Right.
Record with Studio One, then edit and process with Twisted Wave. Any thoughts on Studio One?
Yeah, you know what? I try to try everything.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't require me to spend, a huge amount of money to try it. And anybody that's developing software now gives you a free demo.
Right.
I got the free version of Studio One. There is a free version of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I had a heck of a time just getting it to work from the get-go.
Right.
Which I figured was a bad sign. But eventually I waited it out, and eventually they worked out the bug. It had a very clunky kind of workflow to get it up and running. Kind of made me think of Pro Tools in a way. It was clearly thought of as a music production tool.
Right. As is most software that we use.
Yeah, most of the software out there is thought of as a music production tool or film post. So, but once it is set up, if you have a template built, something that will get you up and running, it does allow you to do things like like punch and roll. I don't think anything's
roll and punch,
or roll and
technically
punch.
What it
is.
Punch
and recording. I don't think anything is better than Twisted Wave from a pure editing standpoint
and from a voiceover standpoint, because it's designed for recording voice, not
simple
music.
Yeah, just simple. It can be used for a lot of things, but it's perfected for voiceover, right? Clearly, it's really a matter of taste. You can just use Studio One, and I know there are probably some people that do, but it's a hybrid approach isn't necessarily a bad thing either. I mean, you could do all your roll punch recordings and then just export a wave and open it up in Twisted Wave. Nothing wrong with that.
And use whatever stack that Jack has to do his processing in Twisted Wave.
I've kind of gotten distracted from Studio One lately because of Reaper. And it's a similar concept. It's a multi-track recording program.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Reaper because for one, it just worked the very first time I ever used it. It just worked.
Right.
That's a good sign. And I love their pricing model, which is it's either free to test it out. It's $60 to buy it if you don't make a lot of money using it, and if you make a lot of money, it's like $200. It's like an honor system. It's pretty cool, but that's another one to check out, an alternative.
Yeah.
No real strong opinion about Studio One right now, personally.
Well, somebody asked us last week about do I use this and this? If you use say Audition and Twisted Wave, which I do, but I use Twisted Wave specifically for long format stuff and for cutting stuff up into slides.
Yeah.
If you're doing say e-learning or something like that, and it's fabulous for that.
And then you use Audition for what? What do you use?
I use Audition. Well, Audition is Photoshop for audio. I mean, it takes out the breaths, it takes out the mouth clicks, it does all the things that I want to do with tremendous accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's got a workflow that was designed specifically for voiceover. It really wasn't designed for music production because it's a hybrid of what used to be called Audition and Sound Booth, which was obviously designed as a platform for narration, putting narration.
Which before that was Cool Edit.
Cool Edit Pro,
going way back, yeah.
And so it was designed primarily for doing narration, which, by the way, kids, is what we do as voice actors. So it's a much better platform for that. They're interchangeable. Some people go, well, can I move one of these things from there to there? Well, if it's a wave file, it's...
once it's a wave, it's standard.
A wave is a wave is a wave is a wave is a wave. And the one I love is people saying that, they tell me I have to use Pro Tools or send them a Pro Tools work file.
Right.
Well, record in Twisted Wave or something, take the wave file, shove it into a Pro Tools work file, and there you go. And then they're like, oh, there you go. It's amazing the lack of creativity or really understanding the basics of a wave file is a wave file.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. We're working with people who are incredibly creative, but when it comes to the tools, they get very concerned. They feel very boxed in, because they don't know what they're capable of doing.
That's true.
And they don't know how easy it is to move between these things.
Yeah.
Bottom line is use a workflow that works for you. I mean, if you have a system, I'm not going to debunk your system unless I see you're wasting a lot of extra steps. Then I'll say, hey, maybe try this,
That's right. Yeah. And the thing is it's always up to your individual choice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Again, what works best for you? What I love is the people using really old software.
I kind of get it. But.
Yeah, Tom Deere gave me a lot of crap last week because I gave him crap for using Audition 1.5.
You got to dish it. You got to take it.
I got to take it. But the fact is 1.5 is a square stone wheel. It's and you got to drag it along. And the new versions of Audition and all the new platforms just run so much faster and so much smoother. And
you can do a lot of roofing with a nice. Yeah, thank you. You can do a lot of roofing with a nice roofing hammer.
Right.
And that's 1.5. It's a good roofing hammer, right?
Right.
Or you can get a really nice nail gun and do, yes. That's kind of how I look at it.
That's probably the best way to look at it.
Did we talk long enough on that?
I think so. There was some other subject I was thinking about talking about tonight.
Go for it.
Now, if I can only remember what it was after all of this stuff that we were talking about.
Maybe it's not that important then.
Well, no. Now I remember.
Okay.
Now I remember.
Okay, what is it?
It has to do with noise floor.
All right.
And people are really concerned about their noise floor.
Yeah.
How much background noise do they have? Now, I don't know if people are hearing jets going by and hello, testing. One.
I was monitoring the playback and I forgot it still comes out of the speakers because we changed something in the studio, as we do every week.
As we do.
Yeah.
Just to throw me a curve.
That's right.
Anyway, people are concerned about their background noise, and they're always talking about, well, I'm using the noise reduction filter in Audacity. Or
That's
I'm
a real
using,
popular one.
Yeah, and people like to use these noise reduction filters.
Yeah.
And I try to tell people, look, it's far more important to deal with these problems physically. If you have background noise, find out what's causing the background noise and not try using technology to clean it up.
Band-aiding it.
Exactly. Because most of these noise reduction programs, as we've mentioned many times on this show, are designed for cleaning up interview audio. So say you're on the street and you're interviewing somebody in a video and you've got traffic and stuff. Those things are good for if someone's giving you a great quote or something, you can pull that back out.
Yeah.
But for a voiceover studio where it's an acoustically sterile environment, there really isn't supposed to be background noise, you start introducing those programs and you're creating digital undersampling and some of that screeching and kind of weird squiggly stuff.
You get artifacts. You definitely get artifacts.
So your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to use those tools, they have to be used extremely, extremely carefully. And because the second an engineer hears that you're using noise reduction, it's like the kiss of death. They're going to think that
it gets round filed the second.
Yeah, that you don't have a studio that can cut it. So you got to be really careful about using that stuff.
Exactly. So, any other questions?
Well, there was one from Andres Nicolas Berrio.
Oh, what did Andres Nicolas Berrio have to say?
He said, would you guys consider doing a live blind test of inexpensive and mid-range and top-end mics?
If you send them to us.
Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I mean, it's a neat idea. I think the problem is the show doesn't, because of the way the show's produced, it doesn't lend itself to doing a very scientific test.
Right.
We could have a lot of fun trying out mics live, and we could have fun with it, but I think the value of it wouldn't be as good as more of a controlled test.
Right. Well, there is the tip of the week I did last year.
Yeah.
Where I used 7 different microphones.
Interchangeably throughout the entire video.
You can see the different microphones as I'm recording that.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's like
you can barely
tell the difference.
Yeah,
Kids, it ain't the mic.
When you compare all these, when you compare all these mics in a sterile environment and headphones, then you start hearing the subtle differences from one to the other. When it's mixed with music and it's in a production, the difference is you just don't notice it that much.
Tiny.
Yeah. So don't get too caught up in that. But I will say that I am doing a Whittam's World soon.
Soon?
That I'm going to shoot out 8 $300 to $500 mics.
Okay.
B&H is going to send me 8 mics, and I'm going to test them all in one shot, and we're going to do it in here. I didn't tell you that yet. But now you know.
Oh, cool. So, Andres, we will be doing that.
We're going to do it right here, but it won't be live. We're going to do it and
we'll record it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. Well, Terri Apple is waiting anxiously to get on because she's just getting tired of us rambling on here. But we'll be talking to her in just a minute. And so don't go away. We'll be right back here on VoiceOver Body Shop with Terri Apple.
Yay!
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth, someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
Every Monday, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific.
Voiceover Body Shop. I love when they talk BS about VO.
All righty. Well, VO2GoGo.com. Everything you need to be a successful voice artist. Everything. Everything you could possibly need. Yeah. VO2GoGo.com's voiceover curriculum is a 5-time winner of Backstage Magazine's Reader's Choice Award for Best Voiceover Classes and Best Voiceover Teacher, David H. Lawrence, the 17th. It's 36 classes, online or in person, across a year-long course featuring not just classes in the art of voiceover, but also in the commerce and science of running your voiceover business. And each month's class day includes a workout class for the participants. In December, VO2GoGo.com students will perform a 7-step annual tune-up of their voiceover practices and learn the best ways to find a voiceover agent. Then in January, because I guess they're going to carry on into January. Mm-hmm. In January, they'll begin all over again with the basics. So now's the time to sign up. Get more details and sign up for the pro membership to save money at VO2GoGo.com/VOBS. That's VO2GoGo.com/VOBS. VO2GoGo.com. Everything you need to be a successful voiceover artist.
Say that 3 times fast.
I just did.
I
actually said
you
twice
actually
in a row.
did.
Actually.
Yeah, it's true.
All righty, we're here with our guest, and it's a pleasure to finally meet you.
You too.
God, it's a name that I've seen in your picture and heard you speak on various things over the years, and I've been doing this a long time. Right. And Terri Apple, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Welcome to Voiceover Body Shop.
Hi, thank you for inviting me.
Well, it's an honor to have you here tonight.
Very sweet.
You've been doing this a while.
Yeah, a little while.
A little while.
Years, yeah.
Tell us your background. How did you get into voiceover?
15, Kansas City.
Everything's up to date in Kansas City.
It still is. I actually just went back there and it was beautiful.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, so yeah, I was from Kansas City. I had an acting background, which is not anything that you need to have in this business overall, but it was something that I took an interest in from having a background in other areas of acting, whatever was there, theater, a little bit of modeling, whatever. And I went and I made a homemade demo, which I would highly say not do now. Yeah. But back in the day, it was something that there was no information out on it. And I had this raspy voice and I watched people on TV and I said, well, what are those people? What are they doing? And I went to go see an agent and he said, go be a secretary, which they don't even use that term anymore. So that shows you. And I said, I'm going to show him one day on Johnny Carson. And I thought, so that shows you, nobody even knows who Johnny Carson probably is now. I started when I was 15 and I got my first job for a drive-in movie at 15. And then I moved out here at 20. I just turned 23 and I really wasn't going to pursue it. And I threw in my demo tapes at the last minute. I said, well, it's maybe. And then it turned into a career. And it was really on a fluke because a boyfriend at the time had said, you ought to be doing those voiceovers. And I said, too tough to make it. And my brain was Jessica Lange, Deborah Winger. I was going to be a serious character actress and on camera. And so the voiceovers was something that and then it blew up into a career, which I'm very thankful for now, knock on wood. Yeah. But it wasn't anything that was,
Yeah, that's a very common story that people come out here looking to be actors and they find voiceover.
Yeah.
And those that succeed at it find a career.
It's amazing, yeah.
Those that think they just look good on camera, like, you want me to read something?
Yeah. Well, and I was always a character
Thank
actor,
you.
so I didn't care. You can get me dirty, you can do whatever. Just it was more about the acting.
Right.
But then the voiceovers, you realize that the voice theoretically is the icing on the cake. It's the mood and the adjectives and the energy that goes into the actual script that you're reading that creates you to be what we consider a staple voiceover actor, or somebody that has the ability to do a lot of different genres or vocal qualities. Even though I'm still Terri Apple, then you fit into many different categories of the world of voiceovers, depending on what they're looking for.
So what kind of big stuff have you done
Well, I mean, oh God.
that we would all remember?
Right. I've done some of the cows on the cheese commercials. So,
Oh.
2 cows with Barbara Travolta, Margaret Travolta. Jesus, sorry, Margaret. Sorry, Margaret. John Travolta's sister, and we 2 cows, and one says, why don't you go chew up the cut on the back 40, which is her, and I say, what's the hurry? Hit the snooze. And we kick the rooster out of the barn. I don't think it's very nice. I think it's mean to... I have a disclaimer. It's mean to the rooster. I don't think it's appropriate. But I got my start doing something called home base, which was what they considered a female Tom Bodette. So it was a very, your house is so hot, not even your best friend will stay for a visit. So you run down to home base, and we did about 100 and some odd commercials a year. And that is what made me well known. At the time before that, I was doing much more either high energy, California avocados, they're as good as you've heard. It's just different places in your voice. Taster's choice, the taste of choice. It's all me, but it's the quality of, I don't know, I've done thousands of commercials. I don't know. I mean, I mostly known in the whole commercial world, television. I've done some film, done a lot of promos, a lot of TV shows, a lot of, just a whole different world.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Been on Law and Order?
No. Did I do a voice? Yeah, I've probably done a voiceover for it.
Right.
Sure.
We
Next
ask-
on
I
Law
think
and
we have to
Order.
ask
Coming
everybody.
up at 9. Let me do, why? Is that your thing? You got to.
Well, no,
It seems like everybody in Hollywood's been on
Law and
Order.
at least one
or,
time.
or if you go see a Broadway show or something like that, and you look at the credits, especially if you're in New York, they've always been on Law
They've
and
all
Order.
been.
Yeah,
I
it's
really
like-
missed out.
Yeah.
That's
They don't shoot it
that's
out
not
here in
right.
California.
No,
It's a New York show.
I know.
You gotta work on that.
Yeah.
It's
Although
all right.
I am noticing
I made
lots
it
of
for
auditions for
voiceovers.
House of Lies these days. Though.
Oh, nice.
Can you wear a bikini and be at the pool? Like,
I don't even care about on camera anymore. I'll tell you something. And I worked quite a bit going back maybe 10 years and did some quirky little films and some stuff. And a movie that I did like 12 years ago just came out on Netflix like last month, which is so funny. But now I so much appreciate walking in and doing a voiceover and being in and out in 20 minutes or an hour. Not that that's always the norm, but compared to sitting on a set for 12 hours a day, it's like, this is heaven.
Yeah.
In sweats,
Sounds
hair up
like
in a
fun.
ponytail. I'm in heaven.
Yeah. And they give you a bottle of water, and
They do.
it's the great thing about
I
this
know.
business. What have you been working on lately?
I just did a movie with John Larroquette, a short that is going to go to a lot of festivals called Follow Your Dreams, and we play husband and wife. So I just did that. I do a lot of Fox Kids and Fox Sports. I got a Kroger. It's a mix of a lot of things. Just did an on-camera commercial for an insurance company. It's just a lot of different things. Yeah.
Well, you're keeping
A
yourself
few
busy.
regular accounts and
Actor's life.
Yes.
That's what I
Actor's
call
life.
that.
I know. Oh, and the book. Well,
Well,
and
we're-
I have a couple books out. I get, yeah.
Well, we'll get to
I
it.
do, yeah, no.
We got a lot of time.
I know, you're fine. I don't know.
All right. But we do want to talk about your books, because everybody in the voiceover business, if they go to Harlan Hogan's site, our good friend Harlan
love it. I
Hogan,
know.
who's been sponsoring our show for almost 5 years.
Fantastic. He's great. Yeah.
Over at voiceoveressentials.com.
Oh, good.
One of the books you'll find over there is this one, Voiceovers, or everything you need to know about how to make money with your voice.
Yeah.
What was your motivation for providing us with all of these pages of information
I know.
about that?
Well, I'll tell you the
us
nice
about
thing
it.
is.
Tell us
'cause,
a story.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I overwrite a little bit, but every piece of information in that book happens to be what people kind of, and I'm not saying this from my perspective because I don't care, but they say it's got so much information about this business on every level. If you want to break into it and truly want to know how to make money in this business, that they keep it kind of as a Bible and they highlight and go back to it. I wrote one. This is the third one. the initial book I wrote was called
Making Money with Your Voice.
Thank you. So, and then it was bought by Random House, and it turned into a second book that came with an audio tutorial. So, but the very first one was right before Sue Blue had a book come out when I think I was around 2021, and there was no other book on the market. And I said, well, why don't I put into theory on paper what it is, because I've been a writer forever, how to make money in this business and put it into categories. And so it led to, and then I met Michael Weesey, and the second book was kind of not a phasing out. It was still with Random House, but then I just kind of had a bunch of information. So basically started over and came up with this version, because the market has changed so much compared to 20 years ago, obviously. And I think my point of the first one was always, how can people make a living in this, which is truer now today than it was then, in any market across the United States and outside of the United States, and actually turn it into something that logically can be a career. Or treat it as a hobby, which you still should, because desperation is never great on anything that you have to have. But if you already have some other income and you do understand a way to break into this business in a smart manner without just blowing the money up front, or as we were talking about earlier, starting with a demo and then not understanding the art of the read, not understanding how to implement adjectives or how to take direction, because you can do a beautiful read that you might consider that's winging it. But if you do not know what you're doing, once you get into a voiceover session, it may be your first and last only voiceover session. And we want to turn this into something that can logically make us money, whether it's non-union or union, depending on your age, depending on your ethnicity, your background, where you live. But there are 5 million jobs. I mean, from audiobooks, there's so much non-union work you can chase, but there's also now union agents in most every major markets, in the United States. You can go on Dave. I'm sure you guys provide information, but Dave and Dave Resource Guide online. Voice Bank will give you a listing of all the agents, everything. SAG-AFTRA in every major city in the United States.
Actually, if you could hand me that, it's right underneath my monitor.
Yeah. It's a wonderful tool.
Right on that thing right there. Thank you, Ms. Floor Manager.
Thank you.
All righty. Yes, this is what we call the voiceover resource guide, which of course I pay much attention to, because it's got all that stuff there. There's all the studios, here's all the coaches.
And there's online as well. So you can just go online and get it as well.
Right. We won't show the ad for VO Buzz Weekly, but we're going to be in the next one.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because now that we're out here doing it.
But even if you want, I always give a few tricks, which is even you can go to voicebank.net, and it is you can actually, I think, get on there now and pay a certain fee to have your demo on there if you don't have an agent. But I always say it's a mecca of information that you really need to deal with somebody who knows what they're doing to help you with the steps and the goals along the way, so you don't make mistakes, because you don't want to make relationships in this business and then not have the ability to back it up with your work and know what you're doing. But that being said, Voice Bank alone gives you every single union and non-union agent across the country. It gives you every casting director across the country. It gives you all the information you need except for the actual auditions. But there's also sites for that as well. Right. And getting through with agents.
Yeah. Now, you and I probably talk to a lot of people who are just want to get into the business.
Yes.
I'm sure if someone says, "What do you do?" "Oh, I'm in voiceover." It's like, "Oh, everybody tells me I've got a great voice and I should." What's the first thing you tell them?
I literally say that if you want to do it, and I'm not the only person to coach, and the only reason I ever got into coaching was because of people not getting the proper coaching from a lot of places. And there are a lot of great teachers out there, 100%. But it's kind of a thing I did on the side because I work in the business so much, and I have the tools to be able to share with them what we do in the business to make a living in it, and how you can parlay that in a smart way so your workouts are going in the right direction instead of the wrong direction. So I say, do one workout with me and I'll set you on the right course. But it's not even really, that's the first thing I say. I say the voice is the icing on the cake. And most importantly, it's to understand that it is your many different moods that create how to read something. And even based on what you said with the breathing, and I thought that was a very interesting technical avenue to come from. And it's something we take for granted that we have a great use of our breathing. But more importantly is the fact that if you learn voiceovers in the sense that you breathe within the mood, that you don't ever have to worry about the breathing. That if you would call my mood right now, off the cuff, sincere, or whatever quality you would give it that had an adjective or a mood behind it, the breathing is just naturally going with how I'm speaking.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not taking odd pauses, or it just, things land, things begin, they land in a certain way. If I'm excited, for me to be excited, I can't all of a sudden go, well, that's good, because you're not buying what I'm selling, because my excitement has to be excited. If I go down at the end of a word, then it's not. And then that excitement can lend itself to California avocados. They're as good as you've heard, which I'm not making my voice do that. It's based on the sell of that. The all-new BMW 5 Series, which may be similar to Taster's Choice, but it's a little less seductive, and it might be a little more confident, whatever. Everything in this business is adjectives,
right,
or a celebrity's name. That's just the way the business is.
Yeah.
And our job is to match that, because there's 20 to 30 actors on any given audition. And with self-directing, we should talk about a little bit. But but from my side, all I need to know, even this many years later in the business, and I book jobs, by just my name. But listen, it's not a given. Nothing's a given. It may have used to say Terri Apple on every single script, and that didn't mean I still booked the job.
Right.
I gave my interpretation of the specs they were looking for, or a commercial they'd heard on the air, or a campaign, or something, and then I went in and said, okay, I got that character down, or I know what that is. But that's not a given in that. It's an audition business, and it is it's a business in which it's a fresh choice every single time. You can go back to your pocket tools of understanding different vocal qualities you carry in with you, and that worked for this spot, so maybe I'll use it for this spot. But it's still a fresh choice, and you're still basing it on these adjectives. And my job is to nail that read, even though E.G. Daly's reading on it, even though I could name 20 actresses, Lori Allen, it doesn't matter. New York people, we are all giving our own version of hip, cool. Mm-hmm. Female, hip, cool, mid-40s, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. All right, I'm a little older than that. Anyway, I just threw that in. I don't care. I'm
but you sound that good, so that's
exactly.
That's the
vocal
important
fits
thing.
in there.
That's right. I still read for the stuff that says 25 to 40.
Well, you can't. Well,
okay.
But listen, the trick is, truthfully, because my voice hasn't gotten deeper. But here's what happens: your energy shifts. Mm-hmm. As we get older, hopefully we carry a lightness of energy still. But there is a quality to the voice that does change. Mm-hmm. But what you don't want to do is, when you're being represented, is to get locked into one vocal category, one kind of cell, because the mood, the vocal, the adjectives lead to the cells. And there are so many different kinds of cells in this business, and even within the genres of whether you're reading for animation versus video games, or an affiliate job versus promos or narration or trailer, or commercial is all television, radio, anything up to 60 seconds. Anything above that is considered like an in-house video or narration, or so there's so many avenues of this business, as you know, and all the different demos and everything.
Yeah. From what I've seen, commercial reads probably like 5% of the market. There's just so much more stuff out there as we hit the microphone.
And depending where you live and which particular, and so I always like to give people smart information that let's figure out, where do you live? What's your goal? Is that realistic? What's your voice that you use, and how can we make this voice in a smart way make you money?
Right.
That can take you down the right way, because you don't want to do something that, oh yeah, I'm really good at that. That's fantastic. But if it's not going to make you any sort of living, you don't want to bark up the wrong tree completely.
Right. You want to follow where you're getting hired.
Yeah.
Doing what you do best.
And you don't have to be living in that city, by the way. As you know, you can have, I have friends that have agents. I'm just old school, where I've been in the union for so long. I never went FICOR, and then I built pension. But if you're at a certain age, there are many people making probably just as much money, because even if they have the budget, they don't want to pay the unions necessarily, which isn't the best thing for me to be saying, but it is the truth of the market. 68% of it now is non-union, and you can live in Cleveland, Ohio, and have an agent in Buffalo, or San Francisco, or Los Angeles, and still book jobs.
Yep. And I've done it.
I know. Well, so there you go. Yep.
Had an agent in Buffalo,
of course,
who was nationwide, so
Good.
It can be done.
Yeah.
It's not easy to get an agent.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing we can talk about.
But there's ways to go after them too. And by the way, you don't necessarily need an agent to book jobs. You have to know you have to know how to read first. I say the most important thing, any aspect of this business, is to understand how to cold read, how to look at a script, break it down, and be able to nail it, because you may read for 50 things before you book one job. But you have to nail every single one of those reads. Right. And it's not that tough. You just have to know how to do it, and then you have to be able to understand how to take direction from someone. That thing that you're auditioning is what you go in nailed, and that audition books you the job. And then you go in and you reread with a director, a producer, casting, whoever's there, the writer, and then that's what goes to air.
Yeah. So the style today
Yeah.
is pretty much conversational. I mean, if you watch a lot of TV commercials, it's no longer the classic announcer thing.
Polished,
Yeah. I mean, we've been talking about this for a long time, but it's, the specs are usually guy 35 to 40, somebody you'd like to have a beer with.
Yeah. Keep it real.
The guy on the other side of the fence, just totally real.
Yeah.
Most people can't do that. Especially a microphone gets in front of them and it becomes a totally different realm. Why is it that some people can carry that off? Like say somebody like John Krasinski, who just is just, a voice that you hear on, I think it's like on Esurance or something like that. He does spots like that. It's just a natural guy just talking to you. Not easy to do. Why is it so hard?
Because most people think if it's that easy, it's not work. And if it's that easy, it can't be that easy. But now on the opposite spectrum of that is a lot of people think it's a very easy business to do. And once you hand them a script to then take that and implement that into a read becomes very difficult. So if you've ever run into somebody and they say, oh my God, you have a great voice, you ought to be doing this for a business. Guess why? That's because when you're having a conversation with them, they're being conversational. They're not thinking of words and how they're speaking. The last thing I'm thinking about ever in the history of my career is how I'm reading this, when I'm reading it. When you're actually reading something, you're having a perspective of, I'm telling my best friend Rhonda, hanging out over a cup of coffee, here's my mood. The microphone, because you brought that up as well, is such a strong dynamic. That's why I always say the cold reading is about what you do before you get onto the microphone. The microphone is simply a tool. You're not telling the microphone anything. You're telling the human being that you're sharing the information with that is 2 feet in front of the microphone. You're 2 inches in front of the microphone, but unless it's really a seductive read and you really are manipulating that microphone and you know what you're doing as an actor, then that moment becomes use that as a tool for whoever you're sharing it with. But the volume, the vocal quality, the pacing, everything is to an actual human being that's 2 feet away from you. That's the conversational distance. Mm-hmm. But there are different reads. So conversational in tone, it lends itself, there's technical adjectives and there are creative adjectives. Conversational is one of those that's kind of both, because it is a pacing, it's a way to tell a story, it's a vocal quality, but it's also a volume. But depending on, again, your background and age and a lot of things. Sure, you can say, I just want to do trailers. Well, guess what? If you're living in Cincinnati, Ohio, or Kansas, I don't know what your ability to really get in to even non-union trailers are going to be. You can have a trailer voice, but you can learn to take that polished quality of voice. And I guarantee you that same guy that wants just to do that type of read, when he's in a flirty, easygoing mood, will have a totally different quality to his voice that will lend itself to a car commercial or any different ad or a grocery store.
Right.
So the truth is that how many voiceover styles can you do? As many as your personality allows. And that's what I really say it comes down to. So yeah, the off the cuff, the real, keeping it real, you're going to see 5 million adjectives. They're keeping it real, no nonsense, conversational, blah, blah, blah. But within that, I've probably done 5,000 commercials alone that had some different style of those. The minute I put too much rasp in or got too cocky or too edgy or too anything, my voice wouldn't have fit in that. The same read that may say warm and light and playful, for me to read it versus Tasia Valenza, Tasia's going to give it a warmer, happier spin than I will. It's just the energy of the difference. We may sound similar, or 30 other actors I could name. The difference is my energy, if we use the same adjectives, is going to come off slightly different than hers. So we can learn to manipulate our voice in a natural way to add different adjectives that are parallel, that match what they're looking for in specs, and create a little bit of a different twist on a read. You know?
Now, are you coaching these days?
Yeah, I do. All
Tell
over
us,
the phone.
tell us what it's
All
like
over
being
the
a
phone.
coach.
You know what? I'll tell you what it is. It's sharing information that you know that every other voiceover actor wants to get me to not do, which is not writing the book. Here's the deal.
Right.
I get more joy when I still make a living in this business, and I love it. I get more joy out of people coming up to me saying, Terri, you started a career for me. And I'm very humbled by it, because it's a business that I still love, and I still do it actively in a lot of different genres, and I prefer it. But the bottom line is, I like the fact that I was able to help someone in no nonsense, straightforward, no BS. This is the way to do this business. And if you asked anybody that I've coached in the past, and I only take a certain amount of people and whatever, and that's it. I think I'm going to start back up a monthly thing where I'll do on a very not expensive and grab 10 actors, and we'll do a monthly thing. But I really teach people how to break into this business quickly, in the sense that because I've had so many people come to me taking 9 months somewhere else, and I'll say, great, let's do this as an assessment. They'll have a demo. I don't even listen to the demo yet, and I say, great, let me just give you a cold reading. Let's do this cold reading, and let's see how you read. I'm going to be I'll be objective. I'm not going to give you, I just want to hear you, and I'll give them one note or one adjective, and they say, what is that? And I say, that is something I coach in the very first workout, or even when I'm speaking at a seminar or doing anything. But that's why I put it into the book. And I think it's important, because you don't want to take somebody down a road that, I put a lot into this because, and I interviewed so many different people, because you do get someone that is sitting at home, or, like in this world now, which we are, and going, well, how do I really break into this business? How do I really get started and understand the right people to talk to?
Right. Yeah. And it's not easy. You've got to do your research. You got to do your homework.
Yeah.
Got to talk to other people who have gone through it.
You have to. You have to talk to people who've worked in the business.
Yeah. It's very important. If anybody has a question for Terri, and I'm sure there are a tremendous amount of questions
They're coming in.
They're starting to roll into our chat room. And who's monitoring the chat room tonight? Is it you or Shelley? Or
it's good old me.
It's George is doing that tonight.
Nice.
So we'll get the actual questions, as opposed to all the people who are monitoring the chat room's questions in, which is
they're all valid.
They're all valid questions. So we'll get to that in just a minute. Okay. Now you had another book that came out. Yeah, I think George wanted to talk about this one.
Has a lot to do with voice.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what this one's about. I'm 35. My eggs are rotting. How's your sperm? Right. What was this about?
It's humor, relationships.
I would hope so.
Yeah, obviously. It's just about life stages and social norms, and where we think we are supposed to be in life by a certain age, especially as a female, I guess, even if you don't have a major desire, oh my God, I'm this age and I have to have a baby, or it's everything. It's making a choice in a certain career, living somewhere, it's dating and thinking, oh my God, is that the one? And then realizing the grass is greener somewhere else. It's always thinking, did I make the right choice in life? And it's about stages of life. And it's just kind of a no nonsense look at, dating and marriage and divorce and growing up and dysfunction and just all different levels of, it's not necessarily, oh, I chose a career versus, something else, but it's, oh God, I missed the boat on that, or I missed that choice. And then going through your life going, well, I could have done it this way. I could have done it this way. So it's a very kind of Chelsea Handler, Sarah Silverman.
I need to read that book.
Yeah, it's fun. Guys love it. No, I have to tell you.
Here you go.
Definitely. Thank you.
My agent was a man. You know what's funny is it is not a male bashing. It is a guys read it. It's unisex, really, all different ages. I think it really is surprising to me, because I did not write it with that intention. Actually, I didn't write it to publish it. Actually, a friend of mine stole it from me and took it away for a girls' weekend and said, "You have got to do something with this book." And I was on my voiceover world, and now I've got some interest on a half hour, which we'll see what happens. I don't know. That's been kind of in the pipeline, but it's just a fun book. And it's something that I found a publisher, and I just,
Boy, I'm glad I don't have to worry about that crap anymore.
Yeah.
Makes life a lot easier.
Oh, God.
Find someone you love and make it work. That's the way it should work.
All right, that's good.
Yes.
Aw.
Anyway, if you've got a question for
Isn't that
Terri.
romantic?
No pressure or anything.
No, none whatsoever. She's usually not in here. That's why
Dan's performing
good.
for his
I like
wife
that.
this evening.
Yes, he is.
just making all
He
this
knows how
stuff
to
up.
play that. That's great.
Hey, I'm on TV. I can do
got
this.
it. Yeah, you can.
All right. Anyway, if you got a question for Terri, throw it in the chat room, and we'll answer some of those questions. But first, there was an exercise we wanted to do since you were coaching about doing cold reads. Now, I do a lot of cold reads because you get an e-learning thing. It's it's 30 pages, and I'm like, I don't have the time to read all through this. I mean, I know the subject matter and something like that. What is this exercise you have? 4 steps to a cold read.
How many steps do you think you do when you're looking at just a random script? It comes in. Okay, let's say it's because by the way, it shouldn't matter whether it's something that you get at home that you are printing out.
Right.
And that should be the first step. It's too long to go into everything, but that's not the first step, but that should be obviously what you should do. Or if you're going into your agency and they're handing you a script, they may hand you 1, they may hand you 5, they may hand you 2 television, 1 radio, an animation, a video. Doesn't matter the genre. What do you generally do the very first thing you do when you get a script?
I will read the specs.
Do you, okay. Oh, that's the first thing you do is read the specs.
I read the specs.
Okay. Do you keep it on your computer?
I will keep it on my computer, but I will also take notes on it.
Okay.
And usually if it's something lengthy, it's with a client who I've been working with for a long time.
Yeah.
They write the stuff for me.
Yeah, of course.
They can't get rid of me. I know their product,
Yeah.
But I will go through and I will read it.
You have a lot more leeway when you do it that way.
Right.
Too.
If it's something like a page, I will read it a couple of times
Right.
and get the feel for what it is that they're looking for. They've given it to me for a reason and not to somebody else.
But you do a lot of, so maybe this is it, because you do a lot of narration and a lot of
yes.
more
E-learning, narration, a lot of business-to-business stuff,
right.
some religious stuff, things like that.
All right, so let me do it in a nutshell. And it's not something that you can, because it is something that I coach over and over. But, the 4 steps of cold reading, and basically every voiceover actor pretty much does it this same way to some degree or another. And even if they don't know that that's what they do, they pretty much do a combination of this somewhat. But it's like putting together a bicycle and putting on the wheels before you have done the first step. So everything needs to go, A leads to B, B leads to C. So print out the script, but that's just let's just go under the assumption we already have. So when you're going in to read for something, first thing you do is you read the script. And it may sound really silly, but just like a magazine article that you're going to pick up while you're waiting in a doctor's office, I get it. If it's Sports Illustrated, you're under the assumption that it's sports oriented. You're not going to read it in a sports manner, but the energy is going to be different than if it was Glamour Magazine or Modern Parenting, or that already tells you the genre.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're simply reading the article. You're not, you from your understanding of the English language, you get what a period means. You get what a comma means. You get what.
Now, if only these guys would know how to use them, then we'd really have something.
Exactly. But, so you've already got the thought process. That's a natural element. I think it's one of the main thing voiceover actors miss and jump straight into reading something out loud without having the understanding of what they're going to do with a script. They're missing the entire transitions, the beats, the interpretation of the writer's intent. And they already jump too much ahead. The very first step is to read the script to yourself. One time, that's it. But I'm talking, is it TV, is it radio, saying it at the top, 60 seconds, Honda, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then I see what the specs say, female, woman, female, career-driven, off the cuff.
A woman you'd like to have a
playful.
beer with. Yeah.
A woman. Okay, good. Well, there you go. We'll do everything with a woman you like to have a beer. So, so in the meantime, then I read the script. I don't care if it's a monologue, if it's a single voice, or if it's 10 voices and you're just the role of the board waiter. You read the entire script all the way through. You don't do any acting yet. You're reading it to yourself, not doing anything else. Okay, that's the first step. The second step is called apply the specs. And that is what you were talking about, where you're going back, you're looking at the adjective. I have a very specific way of doing that because adjectives or what they're looking for can either be an actor or an actress's name, or they can be 20 adjectives, or it can be a page, or it can just say hip, cool, off the cuff, or warm, sophisticated, knowledgeable, introspective, hint of whimsy. So it just doesn't matter, but it's going to give you some of these. Your job is to take that and implement that into your vocal quality to understand, okay, I'm going to be hip and cool with it. So what do I sound like when I'm hip and cool, which is a whole other world, but we're not dealing with that. I have an exercise called That's a Great Shirt, which is in the book, and that's also a take. I'll do that in a webinar series because that's a great way to learn how to find vocal quality without making it manufactured. Right. Naturally finding it in the read, in the cell. So all of these are considered a cell. So you're taking those adjectives, you're circling each one individually. I won't get too specific. And you're coming up with what the read is. You're then writing it down, hip, cool. Because if you've got 5 auditions at any given time, you have to go into the audition, you go into the booth, you already have done your cold reading, you go in and you're knocking these out one after the other with 1 or 2 adjustments from a casting director. And it's even better when you have to self-direct. That's probably part of the reason why I'm so much into this, because you guys don't get the luxury. A lot of people do not get the luxury of a casting director or a booth director giving
I would
you
say
notes.
that's probably the case with the majority of our audience.
Yeah.
They're working out of their home studios. Yep. It's a luxury when you can get a chance to book a session and they're on the line with you and they're like, I do it this way, do it.
Yeah.
Most of the time, people are alone. They got to self-direct. And they have to learn this process.
And by the way, you're not having it. It has nothing to do with getting defensive or, oh my God, it's the truth. You don't have an understanding. 33, I think I've been in the business longer than that. But I still always, we were talking about this, how much we love getting a direction or a note, because I may come in with a nailed read or an alternate read or any other element and still nail the read, but then they may still give me a note. I don't get defensive. It's like, oh, I didn't think about it like that. Let me take a minute. Boom. And I go straight into that other read. That may be the thing that has booked me the job. So whether or not we're known in this business or not, or work all the time, you can still not nail a read. You can still do a great read, but not have it not fit what goes to air or what they're looking for. The biggest thing within self-directing is having an understanding and think you've nailed a read based on the wrong reasons. Sending that in. They're not going to send it back to you. Nobody has the time to send it back to you and say, hey, here's a couple of adjustments, whatever. But also, if you're not understanding the art of cold reading properly and reading a script to nail it, that can go to air for all the right reasons. It's not about timing. It's not about pulling breaths out. It's not, and in some reads, they want you to pull them out, and audiobooks and different things, depending. Most commercial, they do not want you to pull them out. They don't want anything pulled out, no breaths pulled out. So it's not a matter of how you think you vocally sound. It's a matter of hitting the cell, and it's a matter of taking the script. So the second step is taking those adjectives. So I always say take 2 or 3 adjectives, break it down. The third step is called half out loud, half to yourself. So you are actually reading it as if you're reading to yourself out loud. Mm-hmm. And you're not stopping and starting. You're not going the other day, the other day, the other day. You're actually taking hip, cool, and going, so the other day I walked into the store and I was thinking, wow, I really want to get that, but I don't know if I can. So then you just start reading. So it's kind of allowing yourself the luxury of not nailing the read, but feeling it. And when you do this, the breathing takes care of itself. The timing takes care of itself. You don't even have to time yourself out. That's a whole nother world whatsoever. You can't do technical over creative. Creative comes first. Then the technical are pieces we fix later. The fourth step is after you've done half out loud, half to yourself is out loud. That means the nailed read within the right specs, or 1 or 2 reads if it's an alternate, whatever else. And that means that's what you're then. When you know what you're doing, all of this takes all of 2 minutes. When you know what you're doing. People say to me, how long does that take? It takes as long as you physically do the act of printing out the script and boom, doing it. I always like to create even if you don't have a microphone, and you're not to that level yet, create that environment. Because now if I have nailed my read sitting down, which you want to stand up to practice, but if I'm waiting in a lobby somewhere and I've got my read ready, I know exactly what I'm going to do with it because it's written on the piece of paper. I can go from one to the other. I can take the adjustment, but I've already created the proximity, the quality, everything's already in there. Pick a person. Within third and fourth step, you want to pick who you're sharing this with. And there's kind of a trick in this business. The minute you tell everyone, you're telling no one. So it's kind of a good note, and you don't really want to tell, well, it's for Honda, so I should tell all the Honda lovers. No, that's not the point. The point is, and I don't really even care if Steve loves Honda. I don't need to tell my friend Steve. I can be in a hip, cool mood talking to my mom, and that's the sell about Honda.
Makes sense to me. All right, if anybody's got a question, again, throw it in the chat room, and we'll be talking with Terri Apple just a little bit more, but we're going to take a break right now, so don't go away.
Learning never ends.
You continue to grow.
Edge Studio has grown. Pursue multiple disciplines in tandem and grow your career. We've added new courses in a new curriculum.
We pick the best coaches from the community of working voice actors.
A new technology division, engineering and consulting, led by George Whittam.
Follow your dream.
Sign up for advanced learning or register for an Introduction to Voice Acting or Foundation Studies program.
See it all now
at thenewedgestudio.com.
VO Studio Tech. Recording made simple.
Hi, I'm Peter McHugh.
This is Jim Tasker from Los Angeles, California.
Hi, this is Bill Ratner in Los Angeles.
Hi, this is Scott Rummel here in Yorba Linda, California.
Hi, my name is Rick Wasserman.
Hi, this is Tom Kane.
Hi, my name is Vanessa Marshall.
Hi, my name is Zurich.
Hi, I'm Mary McKittrick.
Randy Thomas chiming in.
Hi, this is Joe Szymanski.
Hey, this is Rick Robles.
Hi, my name is John Patrick Armstrong.
I was turned on to George by none other than Don LaFontaine, who always swore by his health.
George is absolutely awesome.
ISDN, Source Connect, Phone Patch, FTP, you name it, George has set it up.
It's really the best thing I've ever done for myself. I feel free, safe, fearless, like anything is possible in here.
Unless you like to look for opportunities to waste time, call George.
And he did all of that, long distance over the phone and the internet.
I'm very happy with George, and I cherish him.
Thanks, George. You make it easy.
Man, there's one show that I can't miss. It's called VOBS. And a lot of people are like, VOBS? What is that? Man, it's BS about VO. And I love VO. How much BS is going to be in this show? There's only one way to find out, baby.
All right, we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop with Terri Apple. You know, we were talking about, we mentioned this earlier, you know, that you've got your book,
Yeah.
VoiceOver, How to Make Money in Voiceovers by Terri Apple. And you can find it at one of the great places you can get stuff for voiceover, and that is voiceoveressentials.com, run by our patron saint, Harlan Hogan, who has been with us. We love Harlan. And if you're ever in Chicago, go visit him because he's just a great guy.
Yeah.
Now he's sending people over to my house. Yeah. Anyway, but the reason we like voiceoveressentials.com is because Harlan has taken all the stuff that you need for voiceover, and he's been doing it a long time, you know, since the beginning of broadcasting. Now he's going to kill me. But he knows the best stuff for you. He has his own signature series, but he also wants you to learn about the voiceover business. So one of the great things that he has over at voiceoveressentials.com is a great library of books, like Terri Apple's books, you know, all of her books, and many other great voice actors who've written some good books about voiceover. There are so many different techniques, so many different things, as we've been talking about. And if you want to, you know, if you're one of those people that likes to learn by reading, and seeing as we read for a living, it's probably not a bad thing to do. You can go over to voiceoveressentials.com, go through this tremendous list of stuff that's in there, and you can actually get there by going down to the bottom of our homepage here. You got to go a little bit farther.
I know. It won't let me scroll anymore.
It won't let you scroll anymore?
Technology is stymieing me here.
Oh, boy.
Fix it. There you go.
Anyway, okay. Okay. Oh, so you're going to do that? How are you doing that? Oh, there we go. Now, if you go to the bottom of our page.
There it is.
There's Harlan staring into his legendary voiceover Portabooth Pro. And that's what he actually looks like all the time. He always has headphones on. He's always carrying and a script in his hand. And but if you click on there, it will take you to this marvelous website. See if we can go into some of the books that he's got there.
You got it.
And you'll see that he's got a very wide collection of great books on voiceover, including his own book, Secrets of a Voice Actor, and you know, which he updates all the time, seeing as the business changes all the time. But if you go over to voiceoveressentials.com, going by that link that you find on our page, you'll find all these great books. If you're into reading about it, that's the place to go, because you're not going to find all these things listed. You can go into Amazon and go, well, voiceover books. You just go over to voiceoveressentials.com and you will find the stuff you need to read. See, they're all right there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're easy to order. He has great customer service there. So go over to voiceoveressentials.com and buy his stuff, because it's the best stuff there is in voiceover.
You
Thanks.
can email me too, and I'll
You'll
sign it for you.
You'll sign it for me?
And I can probably do a little bit of for any of the listeners, a little 10% knockoff.
Very
toward
cool.
a little charity that I worked with for last weekend at the Voice Arts for Alzheimer's.
Excellent.
So maybe we'll do that.
Excellent.
That'll be nice. And then, because you can go to Michael Weesey, but Harlan's easy too, or you can just email me, or Random House, or, Michael Weesey's got them direct, or,
Okay.
A lot of play.
What's the email?
Barnes & Noble.
Barnes & Noble, okay. Boy,
Yeah.
you're on all the good places.
Yeah. No, I'm across the country.
Excellent.
I've got the AOL. We're going to make fun of me. TerrApp3@AOL.com. TER.
AOL!
AOL. I like my AOL.
Oh, amazing that it still works. Because the reason you have
maybe
it is...
doesn't.
I don't, that's true.
No,
Maybe you tried to cancel it and they still just won't cancel it, so you just kept the email address.
It's just so easy. I forget. I think I have a few other ones. I just forget them. So it's like, I know this one.
Stick with what works.
That's
exactly.
Right. Anyway, go over to voiceoveressentials.com and buy their stuff. Thanks, Harlan. We love you.
Thanks, buddy.
Thanks, Harlan.
All righty. We're back here with Terri Apple. Not that we ever really left. Where were we going to go? But we've got a lot of great questions from our fantastic audiences all over the world. I mean, we know there are people out there in Australia watching this live, having lunch,
I've
watching the
coached
show.
people from Australia.
They're great people.
Yes, they are.
And they talk better than we do.
Yeah,
It's a lot more personality to what they're doing.
Yes, I do.
Anyway, Mara Junot, one of my favorite people, asks, what agencies in LA right now are specializing in 1, commercial, 2, gaming, 3, promo?
Well, all of them. It depends.
Okay.
First of all, make sure if you need to have a demo on all 3 genres for sure. It's another trick I want to give you. Not that it has to do with agents as well. You can go to the E3 gaming convention as an example. My friend Kat Cressida, who does tons of work, but she will take her video game demo, and she does this little thing with a Kit Kat bar. I don't know if she still does it, but it's great marketing. And she will go to the E3 gaming convention, and she will go meet every producer, and she gets her own work. You can't really rely on the agents nowadays. It can be a nice caveat, and it is something obviously you want. But there are many different ways. You can also send video gaming demos to post-production facilities, promo houses. You can go to voicebank.net and VoiceOver Resource Guide, because every agent that represents commercial, that has a commercial division, most likely, depending on the size, has an animation division, which includes video. They also have a promo division. And within a promo world, especially like even in New York, Los Angeles does too, which would be national network promos, but there's branches off of that as well called affiliate. And that's radio imaging and TV. And that's also non-union work. You can chase yourself. And there is a book with all the affiliates across the country. But there's also specific agents that represent promos. But you have to have the specific demo. If you're already in an agency represented by commercials, ask them if they have a promo department. Ask them if they have an audio game department or any sort of animation department. And then you'll go get a demo, or you'll hand them their demo. They don't necessarily represent you across the board. But if you don't have an agent, there's also casting directors. There's agent evenings where you can go. Are the days gone where you can just blindly submit? Probably. But a lot of people do more than one thing on that side. So there are casting directors that also produce. There are actors that also work in casting. I get a lot of auditions. It goes kind of different ways. So there's
do you know somebody that can do
meet.
this and that sort of thing?
Yeah, because I wouldn't rely just on the agent and sitting there. I don't even do it in my world anymore, just sitting and relying on them. There's so many things you can do. So the first step I would say is make sure your demos are in good shape. If they are, you can either email them to me or take them to anybody. Get an opinion. Make sure they're up to par. And then I would start submitting those to the proper channels along with agents. And if you want to know a list of the agents, that's on VoiceBank or the VoiceOver Resource Guide or many other avenues that will show you the list and you'll know the departments.
Right. Well, that brings up our next question from Doug Turkel, announcer. What are Terri's thoughts about the best way to reach out to agents and grab their attention?
You know, I had a funny conversation with my agent now, who's been a dear friend of mine for years. But I'll tell you, it's an interesting short story. It's very hard to just randomly submit a demo, obviously. If you can be referred by a casting director, it's always great. Because nowadays, you can not have an agent get in for some castings and have somebody like Carol Day Kimball or Terry Burland or Sheila Manning, anybody who also does voiceovers, and be referred. Okay, Mary Lynn Wisner, just be referred. Jeff Howell, who's now a producer, but anybody, and say, hey, why don't you listen to their demo? And does it matter if you've worked? Yes, some agencies won't take you on unless you make six figures or unless you make a certain amount. But there are certain ways to make money in this business and work in the business and still try to go after an agent, or start smaller on a smaller scale and get a lot of agents. But this was an example of a larger agency, so I don't know if it's going to apply, but it's a great point, like what Kat did with her Kit Kat bars. This guy sent a Lunchable like ice pack. It was the cutest thing you've ever seen, and inside was a Lunchables. Oh, I used to do Lunchables. That's not the reason for the story.
No, of course not.
But no, it really isn't. But it was a cute idea. So, and I was in his office, and this guy had spent a lot of money. He already had his demo in there. The Lunchables snack pack, a Coca-Cola. Oh, he even sent, this was the whole point of it, he even sent a little recorder that must have been $20-$30 for you to put the CD in to listen to the read, which much easier is just send something online now.
Right.
I'll tell you one thing. The first thing out of this agent's mouth is, that's the cutest thing I've ever seen. I hope he can read. I hope his demo doesn't suck.
Yeah.
And the demo was not anything up to par. I don't think people realize the value of having an unbelievable, it's not an unbelievable, I don't think people underestimate the value of understanding how to read. They place more importance in thinking they can fake that or put the wrong kind of demo, even the wrong kind of demo put together that doesn't showcase different vocal qualities and understanding cells, working with somebody that knows what they're doing. You're just going to waste whatever money you've wasted that goes to an agent. Even if you got into an agent, even if you know someone that says, hey, let me hand that to my agent, they're going to listen to it. We can hear it. We have the ear to hear something within the first 1 second, 2 seconds of a read. So it really comes down to that. Let's assume your demo is fantastic. Then once again, there are agent nights, there's one-on-ones, there's a lot of different groups and things you can do, and meeting people to get into different agents. But casting directors are always a wonderful way, as well as going after to production facilities directly or recording studios and auditioning and getting in relationships that way and start booking jobs anywhere across the country, actually.
Okay. Randy K asks, all the way from Connecticut, is the Los Angeles market still about live in-person VO auditions? Because I think a lot of our audience and a lot of the people that we know, they're working off pay-to-play networks and things like that, and they're doing a lot of their own stuff.
Yeah, great.
In Los Angeles, is it all about doing the personal voiceover auditions, or is that really just a really close kind of specific market?
It depends what we're talking about, because if you have an agent and you have the opportunity to go in to audition to use their booth, even if you have your own equipment, it behooves you to go in, no matter how good you are, and use that opportunity with their equipment and a casting director or a live booth director. It's what you're referring to, I think, is more prevalent in New York, where you go straight to the ad agencies and you have those relationships, would bring in an entirely different element to the voiceover world. We do not have that luxury in Los Angeles. We don't go to our ad agencies. You guys do in New York. They cut out the middleman. Your agent may send you to the ad agency and you still may go to casting facilities. We only in Los Angeles, unless it's promo or go to E, and I did a few shows on E, so you would go to E. But most of the times we're going to our agent's office to audition. If you have an agent out of town or you're sending it in, and I had an agent in New York for many, many years, but I always send it in, obviously. Or I go to a recording studio, which is a little more rare to audition, or a casting house. And that's just with the casting director. Very rarely am I going in Los Angeles to an ad agency in person with the meet and greet. No, it's much more rare.
Yeah. Okay. There's two questions from two different people.
Okay.
From Ed VO and then Carol Spencer Morgan. Talk about marketing yourself. And then Carol Spencer Morgan, talking to us all the way from Australia.
Oh,
where
nice.
She
Hi.
is having lunch.
Good.
Creating a voiceover business plan for those starting out. Where do you start?
Okay. Is this from the, are we assuming this is from ready to go, have a demo, know how to read, moving on from there?
Yeah.
Okay. So, back in the old days, like I think I used to have a demo that would say apple a day. So it was kind of a cute with a picture of an apple. Everything's so different now. They go through trends where it was in for a while to have the very small cassette that would be for 1 minute. Here's what's important now. Demos really are about a minute in length to minute 10, minute 15. Maybe if you've been in the business a long time, you can get away with a lot longer. But that is a breakdown of 6 or 7 different scripts, pieces of it done by a professional person that put it together. So let's just take the one world. You want to break into commercials. You've got your demo. You know how to read. The next step is to get in wherever you are in whatever city that is, to find the knowledge to know the casting directors, the ad agencies, the production facilities, the recording studios, anybody that would have the ability to hire you for a potential job. That's where you would take and market your demo. Would I still drop off a little basket or some sort of something that is a fun thing based on your name? Probably. I would do all of this when you are sure that you're ready to audition for jobs. And then I would get in there and I would kind of act as though I hadn't just started in this business. You don't want to give too much information. There is a trick to breaking in, which is acting like you've already been in the business, but maybe been in a different avenue of it. We can tell in 2 minutes whether or not you really have ever really read on anything before. But if you, assuming that you do know what you're doing and you've read, great, go meet all these people, go drop off your demo, then go drop it off again 2 weeks from then or a month from then, create relationships with that. Do the same thing with every avenue of, even Kansas City is a fantastic market. There's markets that are so great, a lot of places, that you can get a local agent. You can also then go after, even if you're non-union, I had a friend that had like 10 agents. You can go after, if the post-production facilities, it's a great way to go after certain accounts. So that are also like, although I do for Kroger, which is a grocery store, which is a couple times a week, but a lot of this stuff can be chased locally or either through an agent or through whatever ad agency has that client. And you can be hired locally to do this. And then you can start to say, hey, I'm the Kroger gal, or hey, I do the Honda ads. So it's Jim Cummings, who makes a couple million a year in the business, always has said it's the meat and potatoes of this business, which is even the small stuff too. And another thing between this union and non-union, you want to know, even if you don't have an agent, a lot of actors will say, well, I'd take $100 for a voiceover job. Let me tell you something, you don't want to because you lower your standards. We know what scale is in the marketplace for a 13-week cycle of a run of something. So even if you're going to agree to do something buyout, which a friend of mine called me today, and an actor is on a show and he can't do it because he's not FICOR. But the interesting thing is they weren't even paying him for the number of commercials. It's important to have somebody that knows cycle of runs, if it's going to run national or spotting, or how many they plan to do, because a lot of times they'll have in their budget to pay you more. So you want to make sure your session fees and what you're getting paid and how often they run something and the length of run is going to be paying off for you to not go non-union. But you just don't want to go join the union to join the union. You can still market yourself, do everything without ever being in the union. It doesn't matter. That same casting director that has a union job that is going to pay phenomenal, if they like your voice, they'll bring you in to read for it. So it doesn't matter. You can still break in the same way.
All right. One last question from Devox. This is a good way to clean things up.
Okay.
Here. What advice does Terri have that goes against the grain of commonly received voiceover wisdom?
Deep.
That's very deep. The fact that you have to have a great voice. The fact that the voice creates the read for you. It doesn't, has nothing to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's the icing on the cake. It's the last thing that you think about when you're actually in that moment. That reading is about being in that mood and who am I sharing it with. I think from an agent's perspective or from the business side of things, they would like to stereotype everybody to fit into a vocal quality. You really pigeonhole yourself from that avenue. We like to think of ourselves as staple clients that we can do a lot of different types of voices, a lot of different moods. That doesn't mean changing your voice and getting into a character. That's a whole different world of character and animation and everything else. But I think people don't realize that it's your own personality that lends itself to create the vocal quality that is the read. People want to, now you have to sell it on top of that. No. Hip cool is the sell. That is the energy you put in. I don't think that people treat it enough like a business and try to create it to become either a star, which is silly because there's many people that can make great money in this business, and going about it a little bit of a different way and being smart about it and making smart choices and understanding and setting goals and doing it. I think another aspect is the thinking you have to put on a voice that creates a read rather than understanding those adjectives are a mood, which then done the right way becomes the sell. An agent will want to pigeonhole you and have you do, oh, that's Dan. He just does one type of read. Well, you're lucky then, Dan, if that one type of read makes you audition 5 times a week and books you 20 jobs. But like Phil Buckman does Carl's Jr. and has for years, but he also does BMW, he always does this. You'd probably go, oh, I got it right. Danny Mann. Danny Mann is this like Canadian with a higher pitched voice, and he's been doing Duracell for 15 years. You would not in person put Danny Mann, who's cute and funny and just lively, with the Duracell voice, but you understand he didn't make this voice and put it on. It's from the specs that he saw, and he understands the art, even if you're not an actor, because he actually doesn't do on camera, of implementing what that mood means. So I think that's actually
it's more important to be you than to be lots of other people.
Yes, yeah, and implement your moods and
All righty. The book is Voiceovers, Everything You Need to Know About How to Make Money with Your Voice. Terri Apple. Get it right there so you can put the face right with the book. And thanks for being with us.
Thank you so much. It was so fun.
Pleasure having you on the show.
Guys.
Thank you.
All righty. We'll be right back to wrap everything up into a nice tight little bow in just a minute, so don't go away.
Are you confused about how to set up and maintain a professional quality voiceover studio? No wonder. The information out there is mostly mythology. This is the best microphone to use. You have to have a preamp. You need a soundproof booth. This software is the best. Your audio must be broadcast quality. Consult with someone who knows the truth. Someone who's been there, in the trenches, doing voiceover for over 30 years. Someone with unparalleled experience with voiceover studios, who's worked with hundreds of voice actors and designed hundreds of personal studios. He knows how to teach and cares about your success. In one of the harshest environments known to voiceover, your home. Dan Leonard, the Home Studio Master. Separate myth from fact and get a handle on your personal voiceover studio. Contact the Home Studio Master at homevoiceoverstudio.com. Drop off a specimen of your dry audio for a free analysis.
VoiceOver Extra, the voiceover industry's online news, education, and resource center 24/7. Hundreds, probably thousands of free how-to articles for voiceover success, ranging from home studio to voice acting to business. A free voiceover industry directory, calendar of industry events, resource links, a store, and much more. Bi-monthly webinars on all topics of voiceover, free subscriptions to newsletters, reports, announcements, daily news, and features at voiceoverextra.com.
Fighting broke out overnight for Sundays. And
what do you want to watch tonight?
I don't know. I mean, the same stuff's always on all the time.
Oh, I am so sick of American Pickers. What about VOBS?
Yes! Oh my gosh, you just read my mind! That's perfect!
I want to watch it because you know why? They've got the best BS about VO. VOBS, Mondays, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, on VOBS.us.
And we're back here on VoiceOver Body Shop. Our thanks to Terri Apple for all that great information.
Maybe I should share the mic with you.
What a concept, huh?
There you go.
Thank you, Mr.
Enjoy.
Engineer. All righty. Hey, we're in Joe Cipriano's clubhouse.
Is that what this place is?
Yeah, that's what it is.
It's pretty spacious.
Wow. I can't wait to actually be there.
I'd rather do the show from the sofa back there.
Yeah, well, we've done that actually once. But anyway, if you want to have your studio on the show, send us a picture, and then Dan and George can be right in your living room or your studio or whatever. So that's kind of cool that we
send
can
it to the guys at VOBS.tv.
The guys at VOBS.tv. Mm-hmm. You know, we've actually had Joe on from his
yeah, that was cool.
That
we actually had a request that Terri should do that sometime.
Absolutely.
We
have
should
her do
watch
a session,
Terri in the booth
doing
a session.
Absolutely.
That'd be awesome.
We'll get her on to do that. Anyway, what's coming up next week? I believe we have.
Well, actually, I wanted to mention Movember
because
I've done a really bad job of plugging Movember.
But you can notice Mr. Fu Manchu.
I've been waiting a long time to grow a mustache. No, I've been taking a long time to grow a mustache. I grow a lousy, but I think it's filled in okay. It's coming along. Anyway, if you want to support Movember, I actually did make a team. Boy, I've been bad at promoting this.
Yeah. It's almost December,
it's the end of November almost. But the Wovo team that I put together, it has Joe Cipriano, myself, Lee Pinney, Steve Cunningham, Joe Nagel, and Jay Christopher. If you want to help support our little team, there's a link to it. If you don't want to type this whole thing in, you can just go to Movember.com and search for Mowovo, and you'll find it. It's at us.movember.com/team/213-6781. And if we hit, I just came up with this during the show, if we hit $1,000 for the team by the end of the month, that's only a few days, I'll keep my mustache for the end of the year. There you go.
Let me see how much I got in my wallet.
I was gonna shave it off on Monday night at midnight.
You got to keep it.
I'm gonna keep it for a little while longer if we hit the goal.
With a little soul patch, that'll look really cool.
You think?
Oh yeah.
That sounds weird.
I like that. That looks good on you. Anyway, what else we got going on? Next week, we have Andres Toyas from Blizzard Games.
That is cool.
Yeah, that's going to be good. We're going to talk, we've been talking a lot about video games and how the voice business, that's the big and up and coming thing. So
I love having talent here, but it's so novel for
the
us
industry
to have
people,
industry behind the scenes people. It's great.
Yes. December 14th, we're doing a roundtable with our good friends, Uncle Roy and Cliff Zellman, and I believe Juan Carlos will be with us, and maybe a few more people.
That's right.
I also hear that Fred Mellomed's going to be joining us.
Cool.
So he's going to
We
actually
don't have a date yet, but we'll let you know.
He actually gets to come over to my house, which we've been talking about for quite a while. But
you guys aren't that far apart from
I know.
each other.
Now that I'm here, he can come here and we can sit and we can actually talk.
That's right.
Which will be really cool.
Thanks to our donors of the week: Eric Aragoni, Andres Berrio, Patty Gibbons, Brian Page, Amanda Fellows, George A. Whittam. That's my dad.
Hey, thanks.
Thanks,
Dad.
Shelley Avellino, and Tom Pinto. Thanks for your donations.
All righty. Yeah. And if you want to donate, there's a donate button right above our heads here that says donate now, and that'll get you in there. And
the show's live.
Yes.
A lot of you are not watching it live.
Right.
But it is live. If you want to be here live, you got to be here at 6 p.m.
or earlier.
Get here early.
Maybe 5:45 or 5:30 would
That's
work a little bit
Pacific
better.
time to UTC. So
Right.
early in the morning
So
for you.
Email us at theguys@vobs.tv and say, hey, I want to be in the audience.
Yeah.
And we'll be happy to have you here.
That's right, right. Or just watch the show online, because a lot of you
Right.
are not going to be around here. But if you
That's
are,
right.
watch it online. You can be in the chat room. It's more interactive. It's a lot more fun.
It is. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All righty. What else we got going on?
The podcast version.
The
is,
podcast.
It's on iTunes. It's on Stitcher. It's on our own website. If you like listening instead of watching because you drive a lot and you can't really watch safely, get the podcast version.
Absolutely. Same information. You'll still understand what Terry's talking about.
Yeah.
So that's
You'll
kind
miss
of
her pretty face, but, you got to Google her.
Well, you got some sacrifices while you're driving, Yeah. So that's going to do it for us this week. We need to thank, of course, a bunch of people. We need to thank our wives, for starters. Marcy, especially tonight, for really, stepping it up.
Yay, Marcy. our new
Being a
producer.
great hostess and yeah, there we go. Always you got to get
Wait,
the audience
Marcy.
cam there.
There you go.
There you
Wave
go.
again.
All right, good. All right. And of course, our producer Catherine Curran and Jack DeGolia still sitting out there in the desert writing down every single word for the show logs. And who else do we need to thank? Oh, Lee Pinney for being Lee Pinney.
And our sponsors, Edge Studio, Source Elements, Rehearsal App and VO2GoGo, and Harlan Hogan.
All right, at voiceoveressentials.com.
Yep.
Well, that's going to do it for us this week. Again, thanks to Terri Apple for joining us tonight. And thank all of you for being here every week, week after week. Maybe we'll take a break one of these days, but we've done quite a run here. So anyway, we'll see you next Monday night at 6 p.m. Pacific time. That's 9:30 in Newfoundland. And that'll do it for us this week.
All right.
I'm Dan Leonard.
And I'm George Whittam.
And this is VoiceOver Body Shop, or VOBS. We'll see you next time, guys.
Later.